5. Piper Alpha. Workers on oil rigs possess specialized skills that command higher pay rates. These skills are crucial for drilling operations, equipment maintenance, and rapid response to emergencies. And to attract and retain these skilled individuals, oil companies offer generous benefits packages, including healthcare, retirement plans, and housing allowances. While the allure of working on an offshore oil rig may evoke images of adventure and intrigue, the reality is far more complex. Life on an oil rig is far from luxurious. It's a place where people's lives are at stake every day they work. In fact, life and work on these structures are characterized by extreme challenges and inherent dangers, including exposure to toxic chemicals, extreme weather conditions, and the constant risk of explosions. Today, we're going to take a closer look at some of the disasters that have shaken the offshore drilling world to its core. First up on our list today is the Piper Alpha disaster, a tragic event that's etched in the records of offshore oil drilling history. It occurred on the fateful night of July 6, 1988. It was a catastrophe born of a cascade of errors and oversights, claiming 167 lives and revealing critical safety lapses that would forever reshape the offshore oil industry. The disaster's origins can be traced back to a seemingly routine maintenance operation earlier in the day, when engineers removed the pressure safety valve from one of the platform's condensate pipes. The valve removal was part of standard maintenance procedures, a practice undertaken to ensure the efficient functioning of the platform's equipment. However, the work was left incomplete as the engineers temporarily sealed the open condensate pipe with two large metal caps, known as blind flanges. These caps were meant to serve as temporary stopgaps, but they became pivotal in the unfolding tragedy. As the maintenance crew shift ended, the message about the condition of the condensate injection pump and the need to keep it off under any circumstances was communicated using work permits. Sadly, though, this critical communication seemed to have been lost in the transition between the maintenance crew and the night crew. The night crew, unaware of the potentially catastrophic situation, activated the condensate injection pump when another pump failed. This action led to the release of gas condensate from the two blind flanges, setting the stage for a disastrous sequence of events. The leaking gas swiftly ignited, and while automatic fire control systems were typically in place to contain such situations, they'd been disabled during the maintenance work. The explosions on the platform began shortly after 10 p.m., engulfing the Piper Alpha in a fiery inferno. The first explosion devastated the platform's control room, further exacerbating the situation. And unlike some other offshore platforms, Piper Alpha's design wasn't equipped to withstand the force of gas explosions. This left the crew vulnerable and prevented them from effectively responding to the escalating crisis. A mayday call soon followed, but by then, the situation had spiraled out of control. Out of the 226 workers on the platform at the time, only 61 would survive the disaster. And tragically, even the heroic attempts of rescuers weren't spared from the calamity, as two of them also perished in their efforts to help. Bringing the fire under control proved to be a rather difficult task, taking 3 long and grueling weeks. Before we continue, if you're joining us for the first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button to unlock a treasure trove of incredible videos. And don't keep your thoughts to yourself. Drop a comment below and tell us what content you'd like to see next. 4. Alexander L. Keeland. The tragic events of March 27, 1980 ensured that the name Alexander L. Keeland would always be remembered. The semi-submersible platform located in the unforgiving Norwegian North Sea was designed to provide accommodations for 212 workers. However, this evening would turn into a harrowing nightmare as 123 lives ranging from ages 19 to 57 were tragically lost when the floating hotel capsized. The Alexander L. Keeland was linked to the Edda 27C drilling platform, which operated on the Ekofisk field in the heart of the North Sea. Situated approximately 235 miles east of Dundee, Scotland, Ekofisk was a vital part of the Norwegian continental shelf, a region known for its challenging offshore conditions. As the day unfolded, relentless rain battered the platform, while fierce winds whipped the sea into waves measuring heights of up to 40 feet. Then, shortly before 6:30 p.m., a devastating turn of events occurred as 5 of the platform's crucial cables anchoring it to the seabed snapped. And to compound the disaster, one of the platform's 5 legs broke away, tilting the entire structure by a perilous 30 degrees and putting it at risk of capsizing. With swift urgency, evacuations commenced, but sadly several lifeboats failed to launch due to design flaws. The platform teetered on the brink of disaster, held insecurely by the single remaining cable for a mere 14 minutes. When that lifeline ultimately snapped, the platform succumbed to the forces of nature, rolling over and plunging into the icy depths of the North Sea. The devastating outcome saw only 89 individuals among the platform's occupants that night emerging as survivors of the disaster. An official investigation into the Alexander L. Keeland tragedy unveiled critical factors contributing to the catastrophe. Poor welding practices and overloading on the platform's D-column had caused cracks in its bracings, weakening its structural integrity. And prolonged exposure to harsh weather conditions had ultimately torn the leg off, pushing the platform to its tipping point. Furthermore, the investigation revealed that a more effective command structure might have saved more lives during the critical 14 minutes after the initial tilt. In response to the Keeland disaster, Norway initiated significant reforms. It restructured and consolidated the authorities responsible for overseeing offshore activities and made offshore operators directly accountable for their employees' safety. This tragic event continues to mark the worst industrial accident in Norway's history, serving as a somber reminder of the unyielding importance of safety in the perilous realm of offshore drilling. 3. Ocean Ranger. The early morning hours of February 15, 1982 marked a dark chapter in offshore drilling history as the Ocean Ranger disaster unfolded in the unforgiving waters of the Canadian Atlantic Ocean. Tragically, 84 crew members paid the ultimate price when the massive rig capsized and sank off the coast of Newfoundland, Canada. The Ocean Ranger was a colossal semi-submersible mobile oil drilling rig, standing as the largest of its kind at the time. This engineering marvel measured an astonishing 396 feet in length, 262 feet in width, and reached a towering height of 337 feet. Its capabilities were equally impressive, as it could operate at depths of up to 1,500 feet underwater and drill to depths of 25,000 feet below the seabed. The rig was commissioned by Mobil Oil of Canada, who enlisted the services of Ocean Drilling and Exploration Co., Odeco, the rig's owner, for an exploration well in the Hibernia oil field. However, fate had something far more sinister in store for the Ocean Ranger and its crew. On the day preceding the disaster, a powerful storm had developed, unleashing its fury with winds reaching speeds of 118 miles per hour and waves towering as high as 66 feet. Nearby rigs reported the ominous presence of unusually large waves, foreshadowing the impending tragedy. The first indications of trouble came when nearby rigs overheard radio communications regarding damage to the Ocean Ranger. Crew members on board confirmed that a porthole window had shattered, allowing water to infiltrate the ship's ballast control room. Initially, the crew didn't perceive this as a critical issue. However, matters escalated as the ballast control panel began malfunctioning. Then, at around 1 a.m., the Ocean Ranger's senior manager urgently radioed the shore, reporting that the rig had started listing and advising the standby vessel to approach its position. 10 minutes later, Mayday calls began, with the rig's last transmission going out at 1:30 a.m., indicating that the crew had sought refuge in lifeboats. Sadly, only one lifeboat, carrying 36 crew members, managed to launch successfully. It remained afloat for approximately 1.5 hours before the Ocean Ranger met its watery grave between 3:07 and 3:13 a.m. At least 20 crew members were left stranded in the frigid waters. And although the lifeboat had initially come within reach of a supply vessel, a line between the two snapped amidst the raging storm, and the lifeboat drifted away, eluding rescue efforts. Despite glimpses of the lifeboat during subsequent rescue operations, it remained tragically out of reach and vanished without a trace, marking the devastating loss of all 84 workers aboard the Ocean Ranger. In the aftermath of this horrific disaster, a royal commission left no stone unturned in its investigation. It concluded that a chain of events which resulted from human error, design inadequacies and deficiencies within the management system, coincident with severe storm conditions, had led to the tragedy. And in response, the Commission issued 136 recommendations aimed at preventing future incidents, emphasizing the need for enhanced training, improved rig design, and better safety equipment. Do you think the companies that own these oil rigs should compensate the families of the victims following disasters like what happened to the Ocean Ranger? Let us know what you think in the comments down below, and while you're at it, subscribe to the channel. 2. Anchovy Central Platform. The Anchovy Central Platform disaster of August 16, 1984 forever etched its legacy in the history of offshore drilling as one of the deadliest incidents to ever occur in Brazil's offshore oil production sector. The catastrophic event unfolded off the coast of Brazil in the Campos Basin of the South Atlantic Ocean and would forever change safety practices in the industry. The Anchovy Central Platform, owned and operated by Petrobras, was a pivotal component in Brazil's growing offshore oil production. It served as a vital hub, connecting several satellite platforms in the region and facilitating drilling operations in the challenging marine environment of the Campos Basin. The disaster began with a seemingly routine operation, a task to replace a section of the platform's riser, a crucial conduit linking the platform to the seabed. While such operations were intricate and demanding, they weren't uncommon in the industry. However, on this fateful day, unforeseen circumstances would plunge the platform into a nightmarish ordeal. As workers diligently engaged in the task of riser replacement, a devastating blowout occurred, leading to a catastrophic fire and a series of explosions. The platform was engulfed in flames and shrouded in thick smoke as the crew grappled with the sudden and perilous situation. In response to the unfolding crisis, evacuation procedures were initiated with urgency. Crew members embarked on lifeboats and helicopters in a desperate bid to escape the inferno. Tragically, though, it was during these evacuation efforts that the greatest loss of life occurred. The disaster's toll was exacerbated by a chain of events that included the failure of drill pressure controls to contain the compressed oil reserves, leading to the blowout. Lifeboats played a critical role in evacuating most of the platform's workers, but one lifeboat encountered a harrowing malfunction. Its bow hook lowering mechanism failed, leaving the boat hanging in midair in a vertical position. In the end, the lifeboat's supporting cables couldn't withstand the strain, and they snapped, sending the boat plummeting a staggering 66 feet into the churning sea below. This horrifying plunge claimed the lives of 36 individuals who'd sought refuge in the lifeboat. In a grim turn of events, 6 more workers met their untimely demise while attempting to escape by leaping from the platform into the treacherous waters. The combined loss of life in the Anchovy Central Platform disaster was a staggering 42 individuals. The aftermath of this tragic incident prompted a comprehensive investigation that revealed a range of factors contributing to the disaster, including equipment failures, inadequate safety measures, and challenges in emergency evacuation procedures. In response, Petrobras and Brazilian authorities implemented significant reforms, strengthening safety protocols, improving fire suppression systems, and enhancing training to ensure the well-being of offshore workers. 1. Deepwater Horizon. The Deepwater Horizon disaster, an environmental and industrial tragedy of unprecedented proportions, unfolded in the Gulf of Mexico on April 20, 2010. This catastrophic event was a somber reminder of the inherent risks and far-reaching consequences associated with offshore drilling. The Deepwater Horizon, an ultra-deep-water semi-submersible offshore drilling rig, was owned by Transocean and leased by BP, one of the world's largest oil and gas companies. Constructed by Hyundai Heavy Industries in South Korea in 2001 at a cost of $350 million, the rig was designed for the most challenging drilling operations, capable of operating in waters as deep as 5,000 feet. Situated approximately 41 miles off the coast of the U.S. state of Louisiana, the Deepwater Horizon had completed the drilling of the 13,000-foot-long Macondo exploration well in the Gulf of Mexico. This ambitious well, with its vast oil reserves beneath the ocean floor, held the promise of significant energy resources. The disaster that would reverberate across the world began on that fateful night when a sudden and violent rush of natural gas surged through the well's concrete core. The explosive force of this gas eruption led to a catastrophic explosion and fire on the rig. Tragically, 11 of the 126 crew members on board lost their lives in the initial blast, while several others sustained injuries. As the inferno raged on for 36 harrowing hours, the drilling rig faced an inevitable fate. And on the morning of April 22, 2010, the Deepwater Horizon capsized and sank into the depths of the Gulf of Mexico. This calamitous event ruptured the oil riser connecting the rig to the seabed, resulting in the uncontrolled release of oil into the pristine waters. The environmental impact of the Deepwater Horizon disaster was both immediate and catastrophic. An estimated 4 million barrels of oil spilled into the Gulf of Mexico, marking the largest oil spill in U.S. history. The ecological devastation was profound, with countless seabirds and marine species falling victim to the relentless oil slick. Coastlines stretching for hundreds of miles were marred by the encroaching disaster. Efforts to contain and mitigate the spill were extensive and costly. BP, as the responsible party, expended approximately $14 billion on response and cleanup activities between 2010 and 2015. Additionally, the company committed substantial funds to natural resource damage assessments and early restoration of natural resources, acknowledging the far-reaching impact of the disaster. While the high salaries will continue to attract many to the challenging world of oil rig work, we must remember that this is a high-risk industry where storms, fire, and blowouts can cause violent death and injury, despite advances in prioritizing safety. Now that you know more about some of the dangers potentially lurking in the oil rig industry, would you still take up a well-paying job on an oil rig? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.